After 70 billion light years of meaningless floating, I seem to be due to collide with a planet. Luckily, it looks like a perfect planet. Perhaps even a new home. Oh no.
Exoplanets are planets found outside of our solar system. Some of them appear habitable, but some of them are very hostile and we wouldn't last a single second on their surface. But all of them are unique in their own way. Scientists keep finding new interesting planets, so let's take a look at a few of them. The first example is going to be what is, in my opinion, the most interesting one as well. It goes by the name of J1407b and is also known as the Super Saturn. This exoplanet is an enormous gas giant, much like Jupiter or Saturn, and it's located in the constellation of Centaurus, roughly 433.8 light years away from us. This gas giant is much bigger than Jupiter, which is fairly strange for a planet. But perhaps the most interesting bit is the ring system, which is most definitely the biggest ring system we've ever discovered. These rings are 180 million
Hello you fellow exotic lifeforms, I am interrupting this broadcast to bring to your attention that all you have heard thus far is baloney. J1407b is not considered a planet, it is in fact thought to be a brown dwarf with a protoplanetary disk. Brown dwarfs are heavier than the biggest gas giant observed, but lighter than main sequence stars. Their surface temperatures are not that high and they don't emit a lot of light, which makes them difficult to observe. For your convenience, we will now skip ahead to the next planet. Don't trust everything you see on the web.
Moving on, it's safe to say that the research of these planets has resulted in countless ways. Even though we've been able to come across some planets which look like they could potentially be habitable, most of them are on the completely opposite side of the spectrum. Technically speaking, it's much more common for us to find a world that is so hostile that life on them is completely impossible. One would assume that these hostile worlds are just plain boring, that they're either too hot, too cold, or they just haven't got an atmosphere at all. But we do have some examples which can prove these assumptions wrong. Which brings us to our next planet. HD 189733b is probably one of the strangest worlds we've ever come across. It's a blue planet and it looks very friendly, but in reality it's lying to us. It's trying to deceive us. This scorching alien world has winds traveling at twice the speed of sound. To make the matters even more lovely, it's believed that because of these wind speeds and pressure, the planet has rainy glass, which is raining sideways. Either way, the glass part is not actually proven, but it is being speculated and there is a good chance for it to actually exist. So I decided to leave it in. Also, the term for the phenomenon is rains of terror.
The planet orbits just 3 million miles from the star, 12 times closer than Mercury orbits our Sun. It's so close that the planet whips around its star in a little over 2 days. But this planet pays a steep price for skirting its Sun. Sometimes the star erupts with powerful flares that heat the planet's upper atmosphere so much that the gases simply escape. Since the planet passes in front of its star as we see it from Earth, astronomers were able to use the Hubble Space Telescope to establish that the atmosphere was evaporating. But when they looked again in 2010, there was no trace of an escaping atmosphere. Yet when astronomers looked once more in 2011, they saw dramatic evidence that the atmosphere was eroding. Hydrogen gas was rushing away from the planet at speeds over 300,000 miles an hour.
Brother,
Yes, brother.
are you seeing what I'm seeing?
That carbon dioxide is of no concern to us, brother.
Not the carbon dioxide. Redirect your optical organs in that particular speck in the sky.
Intriguing, that planet appears somewhat similar to this one. We should let the monkeys know.
Relay the message, brother. We might make them start leaving. Hopefully soon this planet will be ours.
Without a doubt, my dear brother.
So, in terms of the next planet, at first it seemed very promising because it was very similar to Earth. And because of that, naturally, we were fairly hopeful. It's not often that we get to see something that is so similar to Earth, or well, it was similar to Earth. The planet is only slightly larger than Earth and is also, allegedly, 4.5 billion years old, much like Earth. The main difference here comes from its proximity to its home star. It's orbiting a lot closer to it than Earth is to the Sun, and because of that, the surface temperatures are much higher as well. Some estimates claim that it's around 200 degrees Celsius. The name of the planet in question is Gliese 1132b. The previously mentioned facts don't really make it all too interesting, but the reason why it stands out is yet to come. You see, normally when a planet is so close to its home star, normally their atmosphere slowly gets stripped away and they end up being fairly barren and atmosphere-less, much like Mercury I suppose. But in the case of Gliese, the planet is getting squeezed and stretched all the time. There's an idea that states that such dynamic movement results in high volcanic activity, and that said activity in return could potentially form something of a second atmosphere on the planet. Not only was a second atmosphere on a planet never observed before, but also it's pretty surprising that a planet so close to its star has managed to maintain its atmosphere after all, even though the second atmosphere is fairly hypothetical. Moving on, tidally locked planets are not that rare at all, but Upsilon Andromeda b is somewhat of a special little guy when it comes to all that, even though its only primary characteristic is the fact that it's tidally locked. Planets that are tidally locked experience insane differences in temperature depending on where you would hypothetically be standing. Because one side is always facing the sun and the other is always exposed to the permanent darkness of space, you can have scorching temperatures that go well into the hundreds on the sun-facing side, and on the other side you can have below zero temperatures. These planets typically have somewhat of a sweet spot in the areas where the hot side and the cold side would normally meet. Upsilon Andromeda b is interesting because it takes all this a step further. A year on the planet takes just under 5 days. The dayside temperature is 1600 degrees Celsius, while on the other side it's at around -20. So as you can see, the difference here is, well, fairly mad. Okay, I think that's it. Oh god, I seem to be getting a phone call from my colleague again. Cool, I mean, he's a bit of a lunatic, but yeah, let's hear what he's got to say. Yep, what is it, mate?
Right, there's this idea of a hypothetical planet called Planet X on Nibiru. There's a certain group of people that believes that an encounter between this planet and Earth would be a disastrous event, and it was also believed that such an event would take place in the 21st century. You may remember the whole 2012 apocalypse scare, the Big Panic and all that? Well, I think that was the reason, but don't quote me on that. So, about that Planet X, it's believed that it exists in the deeper solar system beyond Neptune, and some oddities in the orbits of Neptune and nearby celestial bodies hinted at a potential another celestial body being there. However, it's been disproven because it's been shown that the speculated discrepancies were due to incorrect mass estimates of Neptune, not due to some weird cataclysmic planet. Now I know this is all rather disappointing, as I myself am also a very big fan of conspiracy theories, and I'm also a very big fan when they end up being true. However, there is another very interesting thing here.
Yeah, I mean, that's lovely, but this video is not about conspiracy theories. I mean,
Let me talk.
yeah, but the video is not about.
Let me talk. So anyway, the other thing is called Planet 9, and it hasn't been proven wrong yet. This planet is also hypothetical, and its existence is suggested in order to explain the weird orbits of distant objects in our solar system. The idea is that these orbits are influenced by a big, unseen planet, Planet 9. Its hypothetical characteristic would be something like 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth, and it would orbit far beyond Neptune, with an estimated orbit taking 10 to 20,000 years. This massive time frame for just 1 year. It hasn't been disproven yet, because it's actually rather plausible, and so the hunt is still on. Now, I must leave you guys and go back to my pondering, but in any case, I do believe that the info I provided was far more interesting than anything you've been listening to anyway, so maybe I should be the one in charge of this channel, and next time I should probably take away.
Yeah, thank you, God. Yeah, I think the connection cut off. Anyway, Jesus, Planet 9, yeah, it's fairly interesting, but at least we talked about actual planets. But yeah, I mean, I also could have included that myself. I just thought that maybe, maybe it doesn't really fit, but yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.